this piece right here is called the Zulu Family. I got this piece from Charles back in 1994. I used to have an art gallery in College Park in the mid-early 90s, and Charles came by my booth one day with an armful of paintings, and I was just selling prints at that particular time, and it gave me a chance to diversify the art that I was selling and giving me originals to sell at that particular time.
Wow.
And I always loved his work. I've been talking about Charles for about the last 20-something years.
Wow.
Why he hasn't had a chance to have an exhibit, and you know how good his work is. I'm just glad that I was able to kind of help him, you know, get this going.
So you had faith in him before maybe he even had it himself?
I bought 9 of his paintings over the years, so yeah.
Yes. I've
always loved Charles's work. I think that Charles captures the human interaction. So when you see a piece like chess players, for instance, you notice the intensity of the players, but then the people that are watching the players play. And so it's images like that that really drew me to Charles's work. Even pieces like the Payday and this piece right here, Near Delivery.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that is absolutely near delivery.
Yeah. So you can see the interaction of it's just not a painting, but you can just tell
experience.
The experience exactly what these people are going through. And during that particular time when I met Charles, now he did these pieces. Actually, this piece was done this year.
Wow.
So we have art in here that
20 plus
goes
years.
back 30 years.
Wow.
Because this piece here was done in 1985.
You can tell his love of your work, and like just the investment, even the time, and knowing like your pieces probably just as well as you know yourself.
Yes, but you know, the first time that before thinking about selling, before I moved here, I was retiring. I had an early retirement in New York, and my one and only sister-in-law, this is funny. She paid my wife babysitting money for my oldest grandson, and she used to come by every week. And when she found out that we were moving south, she said, I'm interested in your paintings. I had about maybe 10 paintings, and I didn't sell them. And she said, I'll give you $500 for them. I'm looking at mine. You know, this was a relative. I said, okay. So that was my first sale.
Without even trying, just from doing what you loved and keeping it at the time as a hobby.
Oh, yes.
And then someone, your relative. Which usually those are the hardest people to convince, right?
And Charles had to be in his late 40s probably by that time, right?
Oh no, I was 50.
But still.
53.
And just and how old or how young are you now?
I'm 18 backwards.
My mom, I was telling him, my mom and I do the same exact thing. We reverse our ages all the time, but when it makes sense. Now, if you reverse it and it's older, we don't do it.
Yeah, right.
Well, see, now Charles and my mom are the same age.
Oh, wow.
So
he was kind of also like a family member.
He's adopted me, by the way.
I know, you know, my son.
Yeah.
I asked him when we were first talking, I said, well, is he your son? And he said, no, but he's young enough to be my son.
Yeah.
And you know, it's amazing. And I almost get breathless from thanking God that I've been here so long. But to see someone who I used to think was old when I was young, and they're young enough to be my children.
And how do you feel having your first show today?
I feel out of bounds. I just feel breathless.
That it's never too late.
Oh yes, right.
See, that's the point.
Yeah, it is.
And for a lot of artists,
a lot of people pursuing their dreams.
Just people in general. But we were talking about this on the way here, where a lot of people have the ability. We'll just talk about art, but have the ability to draw or paint, but they do it as a hobby. So if someone asked them if they were artists, they would say, "No, I'm not. I'm a plumber, or I'm an electrician, or I do whatever wherever my paycheck is coming from. And they never consider themselves artists, but then as their hobby progresses, they start accumulating more and more.
And realizing.
Then someone like me will come around and say, man, you got some nice art here. You're an artist. And then it might dawn on you, it's like, hey, I am an artist.
Well, because sometimes it takes sometimes it's the inner voice, right, that drives you, but sometimes it takes an outer voice to get you out of your shell. Like, I also do art as a hobby, but I've pushed myself out of my comfort zone to put in places or to at least gift it. And who knows? I don't know what I'm going to do with it later. It's part of my passions.
Oh, yes. I tell you.
I believe that everything happens at the right time.
It does, it does.
I was floored that when we contacted Cheryl, and she actually said that she would be interested. I mean, this was just on a whim, because I didn't even think nothing was going to come.
Or a leap of faith, but you took the risk.
Yeah, we sent her the image, because we actually sent the image of the piece here of the man shaving and the son looking at his dad shaving. And she saw this piece.
So that was the first piece she saw.
Yeah, that was the first piece that she saw. And she said, oh, I love this. And I said, well, would you be interested in having an exhibit? Now, I haven't even told Charles about this at all yet.
So this is also Charles's first time hearing this?
Yeah. So she said, well, let me get with the board and I'll be back with you. And about a week or so later, she said, yeah, we like it too. So we're interested. And I actually did not think, it would be like going to the High Museum and just, randomly contact.
But still, you never know. Exactly. I tell people that all the time. I'm like, just ask. And literally, I was walking through the park right next door earlier, and what was coming to me was literally like, you have not because you asked not. Like, ask more. Just ask more. Well, and who is this beautiful young lady?
Oh, this is
Franklin.
Hi, Miss Franklin.
My adopted mom.
How are you?
Adopted mom.
So adopted mom, adopted dad.
Yeah, I'm moving in.
He's gonna start supporting. He's gonna start supporting, like, officially.
Yeah, but I'm an art collector, and so like I say, Charles.
It's a passion for you.
I have a lot of African art and paintings, but Charles's work, I have more of his work than anybody else.
Wow.
And I have over 100 pieces of art.
And how long have you been an art collector? Over 3 years?
Well, I started, like I said, I had an art gallery, but I never even had any art in my house because I was trying to sell everything. So
got it.
It wasn't until after, probably about, I would say about 14 years ago is when I actually started kind of collecting, because we had moved and we didn't wanted to hang stuff up on our walls, and I wasn't running my gallery at that particular time. Plus I had a lot of inventory left over from when I operated my gallery, so it was like, these things are down in the basement, let me frame them up and put them
see
on
what
the
happens.
wall. Yeah, and it just progressed from there.
Yeah.
That's what drew me to it.
She made her own clothes, and in those days the cape was a fashion thing for women. The cape. So she had a lot of.
It still is today again.
Oh yeah.
It's come back.
Oh okay. And what's so fascinating about her is we all came from St. Louis. I came to New York at 7.
Sure.
And she left the family. That's my mother's oldest. It was my mother's oldest sister. She left the family at the age of 16, got married, and then she became a hairdresser. And she became so stylish that, and she came to New York and opened up what they call them a cosmetologist now, a salon, opened up some people in Harlem. And a man who was sponsored her to go to Brazil.
Oh wow!
And teach. In those days, the major way of going from country to country was that's
a good thing. Joy.
Yeah.
Joy is a great thing.
Joy in this one, but then if you look at